Hey, everybody. On this episode of the podcast, we do a quick look into the upcoming Matrix number 4 coming out this year and dive deep into our first Made for Movies Hall of Fame inductee, The Matrix from 1999, the original. Great film. We hope you enjoy the episode. See you guys.
Oh, I'm sorry. Did I break your concentration?
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen.
Oh, what would happen if your mobile phone killed you?
We are tonight's entertainment.
I would rather watch Beautician and the Beast.
People don't forget.
Hey, everybody. We are back. I am your host, Aaron Wolf. And with me, as always, Eric Russo. What's up, bud?
How we doing?
How's your neck of the woods going?
It's going, same old, same old. No,
Feels like summer here. It's very warm in the north today.
is it now? That's it's pretty weird.
Yep.
Pretty,
It's an anomaly.
pretty.
Speaking of anomalies and strange things, what are we talking about this episode? Something I'm excited for.
Yeah, we're throwing it back. So on this episode, we are going to induct our first movie into the Made for Movies Hall of Fame, which will be a monthly feature that we do on here. In order for a movie to make it in the Hall of Fame, it has to have a 9.5 average out of 10 to be eligible from us. So meaning you score it, I score it. It's got to have 19 total out of 20 possible voting points. Has to be at least 5 years old, and it just has to be freaking amazing. But no, I'm pretty excited. Obviously,
Yes.
the original Matrix came out March 99, so we're on the 22-year anniversary of the Matrix, and we have the new one coming out. So no better time to dive back down the rabbit hole, wouldn't you say?
The new Matrix coming back out, and we have confirmed Keanu Reeves and Carrie-Anne Moss are back as Neo and Trinity. How? How is that possible? Didn't we see them die?
We definitely did see them die, as far as I remember. But the Matrix is a computer program, and if I learned anything from that old man architect guy, which I could never understand a word he was talking about, pretty sure he said it just reboots.
He just said every word and adjective that I have no idea what they mean. Vis-a-vis, ergo, like all these, I know what they mean, but like he was really hitting it hard with the vocab back then.
Transport process has altered your consciousness. You irrevocably remain human. Ergo, concordantly, vis-a-vis. You know what? I have no idea what the hell I'm saying. I just thought it would make me sound cool.
But yeah, no, highly anticipated The Matrix 4. I'm super excited. I don't care if it's bad. I will watch anything with Keanu at this point. I know you feel the same way. But yeah, it should be coming out this year, which is pretty impressive considering they've kept it under pretty heavy lock and key. Like we don't hardly know anything about it other than a few people have been spotted on set, kind of reconfirmed. Again, like the Neo character is back. Yeah, anything can happen, and especially I have a feeling like when The Little Things 2 comes out and we see Jared Leto back to life, like it'll all make sense at that point. But it's just a little too far, a little far-fetched, possibly. But yeah, exciting stuff with The Matrix coming out. Obviously, the original was groundbreaking, crazy. So the sequels weren't as good, but the continuation, hopefully, and this one will be pretty good. I don't know. What do you think?
Yeah, we should see. I don't know, man. It was so funny. So me and you were looking at the IMDb page before we started recording, and the first picture is just like a picture. What did you say again? What does it look like?
It looks like it's a picture of Carrie-Anne Moss, who plays Trinity, and Keanu, who plays Neo, riding a motorcycle. With Keanu in the back seat of the motorcycle, and it's like it's not Keanu as we know Neo, like clean shaven or with a military haircut. It's like Keanu John Wick, like full beard, long hair, like Bill and Ted Keanu. And it looks like they're just going for a nice, lovely little date or something, like on this motorcycle. I if that's the only set photo they could get, I'm sure happy that that's the one that they showed us. So, pretty funny. Looking forward to seeing what that scene is.
Even funnier is just like in front of the motorcycle is just the entire crew, so they're not actually riding or moving at all on a real motorcycle. It actually looks like a doll with Keanu Reeves' hand just like gently touching your shoulder. So we'll definitely be posting this on all social media for everyone to see for sure. It's quite a doozy.
Yes, it's very awkward where his hands are. I feel like you normally like put your hands on like the hips or around the waist of somebody who you're riding on the back of a. I guess that's shotgun in motorcycle terms. I'm not a motorcycle guy, but they're just one hand just lazily drooped on her shoulder. I'm like, hey, you holding on there, or are you not really moving and proving it to all of us right now?
Well, we could probably talk about this picture for. We could probably make a podcast just about this picture, but let's jump into the cast a little bit. So there's some interesting names here. Why don't you break it down for us? Who do we have in this new one?
I think the one that stands out most to me is Neil Patrick Harris. I really enjoy everything he's in, including the Harold and Kumars and How I Met Your Mother. He's the best part of How I Met Your Mother by a mile. It doesn't have anything listed for him as a character, so he's still kind of undefined.
If he is an agent, like if he is the new Agent Smith, because he obviously always wears the suit in How I Met Your Mother, it'll be by default the greatest movie ever made, I think.
I think so too. It'll be the whoa moment of The Matrix 4.
Whoa.
At least for me, in terms of seeing him, whatever character he's going to play, I'm excited for that. Priyanka Chopra is another addition to this one.
That's a name.
Obviously, very she's like in a lot of animated stuff at this point, including Frozen 2.
One name I'm excited about is Yaha Abdul Mateen, who is been in a bunch of stuff. He's an awesome actor. He's going to be in Candyman. He was actually in Trial of Chicago 7. He was amazing in that. He was in Watchmen recently. So he's been
Watchmen, the TV series.
Mm-hmm. And he was in Us too, the last Jordan Peele movie. So he's part of that crew of movies that keeps coming out. But I think he's incredible. I don't know who he's playing.
The rumor is that he's supposed to be playing a young Morpheus, possibly, which would be pretty cool. I think that would be an interesting casting in terms of that, because one of the things that's obviously noticeable about the cast list is that Morpheus is not on here. He's not listed as a character. Of course, that being Lawrence Fishburne, known for dozens and dozens of movies being awesome.
I just can't believe that they wouldn't get him back in some capacity. I actually don't believe it. I think that there's a really good chance that he will appear in some form, hopefully. But they're
just hiding it pretty well at this point. It seems like they're hiding everything.
Yeah, I mean, we don't really know anything about this movie. Is it just a rebooted Matrix? We really don't know. We don't know if Keanu Reeves is playing the same character or, playing a character similar but not the one as he was known. So a lot of intrigue, a lot of ways they can go with it. Hopefully it's just, really good. I don't think it's ever going to be able to, revolutionize the movie industry like the first one. But if it's good, I'll be happy. Like, just be good.
Yeah. Rounding out the cast, we've got Jada Pinkett Smith reprising her role from the second and third movies as Niobe. And then my favorite character in the second and third Matrix movie, the Merovingian, Lambert Wilson. He's back in that role. The crazy Frenchman loves to curse in French. I just find that to be so funny. His character's so intriguing, and I wish we got more of him.
Interesting.
Yep. It's kind of like wrapped in mystery. He's a computer program who runs a criminal organization within the Matrix. It's kind of cool, and I hope they dive further into that. But yeah, no, I'm looking forward to it. It's rumored to be releasing on HBO Max this year, towards the end of the year. We've talked about this before. With the way things are going, it's possible they'll pull that back and only release it in theaters. I tend to agree that by that time, that's probably what's going to happen. I think you're under the same train of thought there.
Yeah, I mean, we'll see. I mean, it's definitely going to be released in theaters to some extent. And, maybe that really won't matter by then. I think a lot of people will want to see this in theaters anyways. At least most of the world will want to. It'll be really interesting to see how this movie is received, like how many people go see it and stuff, just because obviously we see all these new like nostalgia movies doing so well. Like obviously Force Awakens kind of kicked it off, and they keep kind of going back to these legacy sequels, Blade Runner. So it'll be interesting to see if it's kind of the moment has passed for the Matrix, like the Terminator, or if it's the Force Awakens and going to be one of the biggest R-rated movies of all time. So it could go either way, and
Sure.
I think it really does depend on quality, just because the last one was so poorly received by the mass of everyone. So yeah, we shall see.
Yeah, at least they've got good writers and directors involved in it, and that at least gives us a glimmer of hope versus some other things that haven't been so good.
Yeah, it's weird that because obviously it was directed by the Wachowskis, the siblings, and now it's just the one.
Yeah.
Lana's doing so the other one did not come back in any capacity, which is a little interesting. I honestly, it's so hard to know who contributes what, so I'm not going to get like discouraged by that, but maybe it's going to be a little bit different than the other three in tone, just because obviously she doesn't really make that many movies anymore. So
Right. Yeah, I'm interested to see how it turns out. Shall we get into the official Hall of Fame review for The Matrix, the 1999 original blockbuster, game-changing, in my opinion, one of the top tier movies that's ever been made. I don't know if I should just start there, but I love this movie. It's awesome.
did you remember having expectations going to see this, or was this one you just kind of fell into?
Yeah, I remember, seeing a commercial for it on TV, saying that looks interesting. My brother had showed some interest. He's a few years older than me, so if I had to see an R-rated movie at that time, I could go with him and not have to sneak in necessarily. So I didn't have much of an expectation. I was just kind of wondering, what is The Matrix? I like Keanu. I like Speed. I like all his other movies, Bill and Ted, etc. And let's just go see how it is. I don't know. What were you up to? What were you thinking back then?
Yeah, I mean, I was 9. I don't remember seeing any trailers for this whatsoever. So was very lucky to go in completely blind as a kid. And I will say I didn't probably know what was going on, but I do remember really liking it, which is pretty funny for a movie that's got a little more of a serious tone with a lot of information that I definitely was not grasping, but I definitely love the action in it and stuff like that. But yeah.
Who as a kid doesn't love just kung fu fighting and bullets flying?
Everybody loves kung fu fighting. It's a good song.
Everybody was kung fu fighting.
No. Anyway, yeah. Again, the Wachowski at the time siblings, they wrote and directed it. The cast is stellar. Everyone from Keanu, who we've talked about, Lawrence Fishburne. Standout stars would be obviously Agent Smith, Hugo Weaving. Just an epic performance of an emotionless, computer-generated attack machine. Like, it's crazy to think about what the Matrix actually means and how it's not only changed like how movies were done and how like special effects really started to kind of keep ramping up from this point. But we still talk about like the Matrix today, like we're living in a simulation. How many times have you heard that said over the last, especially this year, with glitches in the simulation and all these weird video footage and just strange things that happen all around us? It kind of set the tone that, hey, maybe we are. Who knows? And Joe Rogan certainly seems to talk about it quite a lot.
Yeah, I mean, they literally just had a documentary come out, Glitch in the Matrix, going over this exact thing, and it references this movie heavily. So this movie is definitely going to be around forever, as far as, talked about, importance, everything like that. But yeah, I mean, like you said, knockout cast. So many of these people were like relatively unknown, going into the movie. Obviously, Keanu Reeves was becoming a huge star by then. But I mean, who knew what this thing would turn into? And we'll kind of dive through everything, but just, yeah, general thoughts. It's one of my favorite movies of all time. There's no question about it. And, as far as the sequels and stuff like that go, we're not going to get into them too much today, but after I just rewatched it, I kind of wish they never made any sequels to this movie. It's just a perfect movie.
Yeah.
And I think it's just one of those things like, Inception. Like, could you make a sequel to Inception? Yes. Should you? No. You know what I mean? And I think the way this movie wraps up, it just leaves so many options in your mind to kind of determine where the story goes next. And I think there was really no way that anything they did could have ever lived up to the expectations that they built, throughout this one.
Yeah, I agree with you. The sequels were not good. The second one better than the third, but the first movie just being so groundbreaking and so mind warping on its own. It was just cool. It was just everybody talked about it. I remember talking about it with all my classmates. And have you seen it yet? It's pretty cool. People started to pick up kung fu and karate like left and right around me. There was a lot there. But yeah, you want to get into the movie, talk about some scenes.
Yep. Before we do, let's just make a note here that from this point on, we're going to be heavily discussing spoilers. So if you have not seen The Matrix and don't want it spoiled, I don't know what you've been doing for the last 22 years, go watch it and then come back and finish the rest of this review.
What do you think about the opening of the movie with Trinity and the agents chasing her?
It's definitely just thrilling. You don't know anything about what's going on. You think it's just normal people. You see a little bit of special effects when Trinity jumps up and kicks the cop. You can tell she's well trained, and the agents definitely have that very mysterious kind of allure to them that you're like, wow, these guys are serious, and like this could be pretty interesting moving forward. But getting introduced to those characters and like your men are already dead, like that line is just so good. Like,
no, Lieutenant, your men are already dead.
Yeah, we sent 3 squads of police up there. Nope, they're already dead. Like, what are we dealing with here? And then just how that scene officially ends with Trinity escaping the agents, but a full-blown garbage truck rams into the little phone booth she's in. It's just like, what the heck are we getting into? But it sets the stage for like, okay, they're going to start to peel back this onion layer by layer, and who knows what the center's going to look like. So I thought it's an awesome way to start a movie, but not give away too much about what the movie is, which is hard to see these days.
Yeah, I agree. I thought the fight scene with her is like kind of funny now, especially because it has that iconic slow motion shot that's been like spoofed and made fun of 60,000 times now.
Scary movie.
Yeah. I also thought it's hilarious when she like is like on the wall and she's just like kind of kicking her legs and like walking back and forth on the wall. It looks really ridiculous, but for the most part, the effects the effects look pretty good. My favorite shot is when she dives through the window and she's just sitting at the bottom of the stairs and she's just like terrified she can't even move. I think that's an amazing shot. It kind of lingers on the window to see if the agent's coming through. It's really, really well done. But yeah, it really builds up these agents as villains that, although they're super generic, like you've never really seen villains like this in a movie, that are basically just like killer great white sharks that just do not stop. They're just in constant pursuit. So it definitely starts to build their mystique up a little bit, and I think that helps out later on.
Yeah.
But then we are introduced to Mr. Anderson, Neo. What do you think about Neo's introduction and the great Keanu Reeves coming on to the movie?
It like couldn't be better. He's playing a hacker who's kind of like a loner as well. He's got a corporate job by day, but he's clearly a hacker and doing some crime stuff by night. He gets some pretty interesting visitors to wake him up from a nap after Trinity reaches out to him, and it's follow the white rabbit. That's what we hear. Like he gets into the club, and it's white zombie, Rob Zombie, whichever one you want to say. I don't even know the difference at this point, but you get your first kind of like idea of what the soundtrack's going to be like in the movie. It's going to be like more rock based. And I thought that was pretty cool, especially at the time. Like, I'm 14 years old. Everything is, rock and roll. Yeah, whatever. It's not just all other stuff, but
rock and roll poison.
Rock and roll, yeah, poison.
What is that?
Just general rock, man. It's going to be fun.
Right. But
just general rock and roll, man.
Yep, in general. AC/DC.
I have ADHD, I think. Is that the same thing? No, but
close. Squirrel.
There's some pretty good foreshadowing too when Neo's talking to the guy that he's selling the computer chip to. Neo says to him something like You ever wonder if you're like, you don't know if you're awake or still asleep? You ever have that feeling? The guy just responds with, dude, it sounds like you just need to unplug, man.
Were you not sure if you were awake or still dreaming? It just sounds to me like, you need to unplug, man.
So I thought that was kind of funny.
That's funny. Yeah, I didn't catch that. That's a cool line.
I was just going to say with Rob Zombie, too, I feel like Rob Zombie is Keanu Reeves' favorite musician because I swear in every Keanu Reeves movie from like the late 90s, there's a Rob Zombie like video song montage where Keanu Reeves is in the scene. So
that's incredible.
Yeah.
And we know Keanu Reeves plays bass, I think, outside of acting. He's like a talented musician, like a real musician. He plays in cover bands and stuff.
I'm probably just going to start telling everyone that they're best friends.
They actually have a cover band together, and they only do like 80s Joel.
Strictly 80s Billy Joel.
Start the fire, buddy! Come on, man, play something from The Stranger!
We strictly do 80s Joel music, sir.
Yes. Billy Joel doo-wop sucks. But yeah, as the movie kind of progresses, you kind of get into like where it's going to go. Like Neo's about to, be awakened for the first time. He meets an interesting cast of characters in Lawrence Fishburne as Morpheus. Some of the supporting players have awesome personalities, and another actor that you've seen in a million different things, but you couldn't tell me his name, Joe Pantoliano, plays Cypher. In my opinion, is the star of the movie. He's just a killer, but he's one of those character actors that like you see him in all sorts of stuff, but you never remember his name. But as Cypher, he plays kind of the snitch. We get into that in a little bit, how he kind of portrays everybody, but just a hard talking like Brooklyn accent type of guy. Like in this, he still keeps his accent even though he's not ever from New York or anything like that. I just find that to be hilarious.
He's incredible, man. I always think of him if you don't know who he is and you've seen Bad Boys, he is the captain in Bad Boys. So the one that's always freaking out at I almost said Murtaugh and Riggs, but
yeah,
Will Smith and Martin Lawrence. But yeah, he's a great actor.
You're getting too old for that.
Yeah, no, for sure. Good one there. But no, yeah, he's definitely not playing a typical role here. He's got his head shaved, he's got the little goatee. But yeah, he's definitely a great villain, and you want to like him, but you can kind of tell there's something off with this guy. One line I loved that earlier, right before they meet, where he meets everyone, is just when Neo is in the interrogation room with Agent Smith, and Agent Smith just looks at him, and he's like, Keanu's like, I want my phone call. And Agent Smith is just like, what good is a phone call if you're unable to speak?
What good is a phone call if you're unable to speak?
And then his mouth is closed. Oh my God.
His tone of voice, Hugo Weaving playing this character, is so good. And I believe he's British, but his U.S. accent is incredibly good, and he just enunciates at the right moment.
This is the V for Vendetta accent.
It's so good. Speak.
So good.
That's a cool scene, though, too. It shows kind of the scariness of it, because Keanu at that point can't speak, and he has like skin grow over his mouth. It's like, what in the world is going on? And then they put that little creature inside him. I always wondered about that one, but crazy intro.
I don't know if this was intentional either, but Keanu's boss, when Keanu is working his regular job as Mr. Anderson, his boss is like lecturing him, and I swear it's almost identical to Mr. Smith's voice inflection, delivery, tone.
This company is one of the top software companies in the world because every single employee understands that they are part of a whole. Thus, if an employee has a problem, the company has a problem. The time has come to make a choice, Mr. Anderson.
So next time you rewatch that scene, I actually thought it was, I was like, is that him? It kind of looks like him a little bit, but it's definitely very, very similar to the first interrogation scene, the way he kind of talks down at him. He's like, you have two options. The boss does the exact same thing. So I thought that was pretty cool. But yeah, so then we're getting into the juiciness. Obviously, do we take the red pill or do we take the blue pill, right?
Yes. That is the famous line that has been turned into how many memes and gifs over the years of if you could take this pill and have $5 million, or take this pill and be 10 years younger, or whatever, stuff like that. That's kind of sprouted from there. But yeah, then it gets into what I call the gross part of the movie, where Neo wakes up in a whole different world as a baby man child, and then gets picked up by some random ship out of nowhere. And it's just like, okay, now we're starting to peel back again another layer. We're in what we find out by Morpheus as he takes him into the simulation is just a computer program, is where he was living for what he thought was his entire life. And he was actually in a pod of goo for
the whole
30
time?
plus years.
The whole time?
The whole time, the whole time you would, the whole time.
The whole time?
No, when I was 9,
And,
I think I looked at my dad and I was just like, "Is this real? Like, is this wherever what happens when we die? We're just in this
Yeah.
Pretty funny.
How do you think babies are made, son?
Whatever the girl in Knocked Up says, that's exactly right.
Well, I think a stork, he drops it down, and then a hole goes in your body, and there's blood everywhere coming out of your head, and then you push your belly button, and then your butt falls off, and then you hold your butt, and you have to dig, and you'll find a little baby.
That's exactly right.
Yep, that's exactly right. But yeah, it kind of uncovers they're in what is the future to us and the future to Neo as well. Flying around in a desolate wasteland that we turned out is Earth, caused by a war against artificial intelligent machines and us. Just a classic sci-fi tale of what everyone is scared of, especially nowadays as AI becomes more and more of a thing. Is this really going to happen to us? You think we're going to be batteries for machines to live off of?
If we're lucky at this point, that might be the best case scenario.
That's so true. But yeah, like this is where the movie, I think, really takes a turn, and they start to just uncover things even faster than before. And one of the best scenes in the movie, in my opinion, is when they start to do Neo's training officially. Oh, yeah. And it's him versus Morpheus in a simulated kung fu dojo, and they just beat the heck out of each other. It's awesome. It's like got great music, and the fighting is fast paced. It's even more fast paced than Mortal Kombat from a couple years earlier.
It'll always forever remind me of my one friend in high school. Every time something interesting was happening in another room, he would run into the room. He would go, "Morpheus is fighting Neo," and then run out of the room.
Morpheus is fighting Neo.
But it was
the way they hop across the table and stuff to get to the
they
view
all
screen.
start running. It's one of my favorite lines in the movie for sure. But yeah, it definitely goes into like basically Mortal Kombat techno music, and the fighting's just all incredible, especially when they don't do the cuts. It's always my favorite when they kind of just stay on the shot and it's just the actors, and you can tell that there's not much stunt work going on as far as like doubles and stuff like that in those scenes, which is awesome.
Right. Yeah, it really is amazing to see. Like, I don't know the level of kung fu that Keanu or Lawrence Fishburne had before this, but if they learned it just for this movie, I would never be able to tell the difference that they hadn't been doing it their whole lives, basically. Like, just clean, smooth, and like the choreography is not to be trifled with on this one, as far as the fighting.
Little fun fact too is Keanu does have a stunt double in the movie. Obviously not for every scene. And his stunt double is Chad Stahelski, I think I'm pronouncing that right, who is the director of the John Wick series, which is kind of funny. So, and you can kind of pick up when you watch John Wick that there's a heavy, heavy influence on the Matrix fight scenes for sure.
Kind of moving up in the world from stuntman to director of 3 box office smashes. Yeah, that's pretty cool. But yeah, then the movie kind of progresses into the real climax is kind of when Morpheus gets captured.
Yeah.
And they have to formulate a plan to either kill him, make sure that the agents don't get the information they're trying to get, or they go in and try to rescue him. And thankfully for us, they do. They try to go and get him.
Yeah, no, I mean, it's definitely where the movie picks up, obviously. So they get him all trained up. They're now going to take him to see the Oracle. So that's like why they have to go back into the Matrix. And then we find out that Cypher, who we were just talking about, is planning to basically, Cypher is going to sabotage their whole plan, basically, and from there, I think he's trying to get Morpheus kidnapped so that they can get the codes to Zion, which is like their home planet. So they're not even going for Neo, which is kind of the assumption of Morpheus, I think, when they're attacking, is that they're coming for Neo because they were coming for Neo before, but they actually want him. So it backfires. Yeah, so he gets kidnapped. Cypher kills literally everyone. The entire team he unplugs, right? And then from there, we're kind of into the last stand of the movie.
Yeah, and one of the better scenes. It's still not my favorite scene, or we're almost to my favorite, but the scene that's also famous in the world of Hollywood, where they get guns, lots of guns. You know, that famous line that Keanu says, and they go into that lobby, and they just literally shoot the hell out of this lobby for the scene feels like it's 20 minutes long. It's not that long in the movie, but like just an epic fight, really cool camera work, slow-mo, like neat transitions. It's something that sets up like, okay, we're at the very big meat and potatoes of this movie, and it can only get better from here, and it actually does. It's crazy.
Yeah, it's weird. The movie, the first hour is essentially gets you on board, gets you caught up, gets you understanding everything, but it's not by any means boring. Like, there's not a ton of action in the first hour, but at no point does it feel like the movie's, dragging. But like we were talking about, there's about 40 minutes left, and when Neo kind of goes on that monologue about how he thinks he believes he can save Morpheus.
Why? Because I believe in something.
What?
I believe I can bring him back.
The movie just does not let up once him and Trinity go back into the Matrix. Obviously, they still have what we haven't really talked about is Tank.
Yeah.
Tank is the operator. He is probably my favorite secondary character, not counting the main people in this movie. He's just so cool and so smooth. He's obviously the one that he kills Cypher too. He saves Neo from getting killed by Cypher. And just his whole, he kind of like is the audience, he's like the one watching everything, and he's commenting as it goes. Like, he's like, Neo's the one, stuff like that. So he's pretty cool. My 9-year-old self was all about Tank.
Yeah. Another fun fact is the Life Cereal's motto is Mikey likes it. And Tank at one point, after giving Neo some training, goes, Mikey, I think he likes it. And it's like, you see a Life commercial, and then you see this movie, and you're like, oh, okay, I see what you did there.
Yeah, Mikey, I think he likes it. How about some more?
But it's funny because that character's never had Life Cereal because he's born not in the Matrix, so they don't even know what that is in Zion. I just thought that it was very funny that he picked up on that after just observing people in the actual Matrix. So yeah, his character's really cool, and yeah, I agree with you 100% there.
Yeah, you saying that was just basically Mr. Smith telling him, what good is a phone call if you're unable to speak?
That's the best line. It is hands down the best line.
It's his delivery of the word speak that will always forever get me.
Speak.
It's not my favorite line by him, but if I said it was my favorite, it's just because I forgot what's coming up. But yeah, so the lobby scene, amazing as far as no real CGI. Everything is pretty practical effects. And again, most of it's like hand-to-hand combat and guns. It's amazing. It's one of the better action scenes ever. But yeah, then they get to the rooftop. You have the classic Neo slow motion dodging the bullets, which is kind of a callback to the earlier in the movie where what's he say to Lawrence Fishburne? You're saying I can dodge bullets?
Yes. As part of his training, Morpheus is trying to explain to him, because you're the one, you have abilities that no one else has. And these agents are pretty tough, but you're even going to be better than them. And in that scene, he unloads 2 full gun clips worth of shots at an agent and he dodges them all in such a pretty cool, like, I always thought the sound of that was always pretty cool. Just kind of like very, robotic and seeing him miss all those. But then, yeah, he does basically the same thing back to the agent after the agent unloads on him. So yeah, you start to see that Neo is starting to realize he is a little bit more powerful than the next person.
Oh yeah. Before we get to the subway fight, though, I do need to talk about my favorite line in the movie. Uh, as they're battling their way through the building, Agent Smith unplugs his ear so he can't hear what's going on. He's just doing this amazing monologue to Morpheus and basically telling Morpheus he needs to get out of the Matrix and how much he hates it. And he's like, "It's the smell."
But I can't stand it any longer. It's the smell.
it's the best line in the movie. The way he says it is incredible, and yeah, it makes my day. It really, I'm in a good mood today because I rewatched that and I heard that line. So
It's the
thank
smell.
you, Agent Smith.
Yeah, if I'm not mistaken, he starts to describe the human race as a virus, and they're the cure, basically. Something you also hear a lot about these days with viruses and global warming and pandemics and all sorts of crap going on in the world. So it's it all comes back to the Matrix in the end. It just seems it's tied into so much of culture at this point. But yeah,
absolutely. So yeah, before we get to your subway scene, which I think I will agree is the best action scene in the movie, obviously Morpheus, they literally fly a helicopter up the building. Morpheus jumps out the window. Neo catches him, and then the helicopter goes down. Then he proceeds to catch the helicopter, which I think is a badass moment in the movie for sure. That explosion
Agreed.
too is incredible.
Just the way the building kind of ripples and creates a wave. You could tell that it's computer, not necessarily a real building. That those types of stuff.
I'm pretty sure they blew up a real building.
Yeah, I wouldn't doubt it. They did everything pretty real here. Even in the lobby scene when they finish, and it's just a scene of the lobby, and then some more of the columns collapse, and there's no one else in the room. It's just like kind of a funny little ending to that, showing how much destruction there was. But yeah, they didn't really spare any expense on old windows on that building.
Yeah,
crashing a full blown helicopter into it. But yeah, I mean, the fight scene in the subway. What can we say? There's great dialogue between Neo and Agent Smith. More funny lines. You're empty. You are too. It's just like cheesy, funny dialogue between two people you know are about to fight. I just find those to be so entertaining. And then of course, like the choreography, the action, how it ends with Neo literally jumping up through the ceiling, and then the train hitting Agent Smith as Neo narrowly misses it. You're like, okay, this movie has just got me hooked.
Yeah, I mean, I completely agree. It's one of the best scenes ever in any movie. And the two things that stand out to me the most is him not running at that point. Like he's basically the first person to ever like just stay and fight. And obviously at this point we're seeing like Morpheus narrate from back in the real world because they're watching on the computer screens, which is also hilarious to me. By the way, they just stare at the screen, but yeah, they can't actually see people. They're just reading code. Pretty funny. So when I was 9, I was like,
he's beginning to believe.
Yeah. Also funny. One thing I did forget to mention, when they're in the helicopter and he's just unloading the 1,000 rounds at the agents and somehow does not hit Morpheus one time. I was like, what the heck is going on? But yeah,
that reminded me a lot of Terminator 2 when Arnold Schwarzenegger uses the same type of gun, the minigun, and just unloads on all the cops. But because of his directives, he doesn't hurt a single person with that gun. I thought it kind of tied back to that. I thought it was kind of funny.
Yeah, very, very, very similar scene. It's like Casualties 0. But yeah,
yeah, right.
So now we're in the end game, as Doctor Strange would say. I thought it was really funny. Yes. Like it's like the first movie I can ever remember where you think like the villain is completely defeated, and 4 seconds later he steps off the train because he just takes the role somewhere else. And this time Neo's like, all right, I better run. I love that.
Not a scratch on him.
Yeah, the running scene through the city is incredible. Super, super intense. And then we get to the final showdown.
The final showdown where Neo somehow gets shot to death and actually dies and comes back to life as the One. And I think like that reveal, and he just sort of knows his own power now and what he can do and what he can manipulate. He almost feels it. It does lend itself to, there is going to be a future of unraveling more and more of what Neo can do. Not that they necessarily should have, like you said, with the quality of the sequels, but it fascinates you to know, like, what else can he do? And as he kills Agent Smith, he kind of are like, yeah, all right, this is what we've been waiting for. This is the payoff of this movie, waiting for Neo to realize he's the one.
Yeah, no, I definitely think that when he dies, obviously you're not thinking he's actually dead. But I didn't like that he comes back to life because Trinity kissed him. So as Neo is dying, they're also being attacked by the Sentinels. So it's like a race against the clock to unplug him. Otherwise, if they pull the EMP to kill the Sentinel, they'll kill Neo too. So I hate that it's like a kiss that is what sparks him back to life. But I love when he goes inside Agent Smith, and I guess I should preface what I mean by that. He doesn't actually. I don't even know how to say that. He goes inside of him. That's the only way to say it.
He does.
He enters him.
There's no other way to say it. He literally like jumps and flies in him. There's no other. Yeah, there's no other way.
He goes
to say
in you. I don't know. But
yeah.
And then the other agents are just like, yeah, I'm not having you come inside of me, so I'm leaving.
Yeah, they tuck tail and run pretty fast once they see how easily what up until this point was literally invincible opponents were killed in less than like 2 seconds. I thought that really showed kind of like, one, you're just seeing how strong he is and how Agent Smith can literally come back with any body without a scratch on him, and then he just explodes into a million pieces with a great like blood curdling scream that is just so Hugo Weaving-y that I love it. I just love it.
No, it's a great payoff for the whole movie and how they've set it up the whole time that no one has ever faced an agent and survived. So it's great. And then we obviously move into the last scene where Neo is on the phone with, I guess, just the computer system. I really don't know who he's.
Matrix HQ. Yeah.
He's on the phone with the old man, the architect.
I'm going to hang up this phone, and then I'm going to show these people what you don't want them to see. I'm going to show them a world without you. A world without rules and controls, without borders or boundaries. A world where anything is possible. Where we go from there is a choice I leave to you.
We'll get into our final thoughts in a second. I think this would have just been the greatest ending had they never made a sequel. But yeah, what are your overall final thoughts on this movie?
Yeah, overall, it's obviously in the Hall of Fame because it's got a high ranking for me. I give it a 10. It's got everything I want in a movie: action, compelling dialogue, great characters, a good story. It's well written, and overall, just can't miss based on what it did culturally. I think just the impact that it had on not just Hollywood, but everywhere. Still talked about today, and I'm very much looking forward to see what they do with the new one.
Yeah, I'm in the same spot. I'm going to go 10 out of 10. There's really nothing wrong with this movie, and it's, I think, aged very, very well. It's, like you said, it's still topical. People are still talking about it. Again, some of my issues with the sequels is just that I think in this one what really helps is that Neo is just an ordinary guy. So it's a lot easier to relate to him. I think it makes the fight scenes just way, more effective, like brutal, realistic. I think in the sequels, when you have him as basically Superman, it just loses that, you just like, you don't even really think he's ever really in danger in the sequels of losing because he's so superior to everyone by that point. So I hope for the new one, they go back to him just kind of being like an ordinary guy again, which he certainly looks ordinary on that bicycle picture we saw. So. But yeah,
he looks like he just came from a jam session with Rob Zombie. To be quite
White
honest.
Zombie, that's their band name. But no, yeah, he definitely. I can't talk about that picture ever again. It's gonna kill me.
It's so funny, but yeah, congratulations to The Matrix for being the first movie inducted into the Made for Movies Hall of Fame. Well deserved, well earned, and again, greatly looking forward to the next.
It's the smell.
So, It's the smell. Until next time, we appreciate you guys tuning in, and we hope you like the episode. Again, follow us on all our social medias and check out our website. And we'll be launching some merch soon, so stay tuned. We're going to have a merch store. Hopefully you guys like what we have to offer. So until next time, see you later.
Bye.
Can't stand it any longer. It's the smell.
Thank you guys for listening to the Made for Movies podcast. We really hope you enjoyed this episode. Please feel free to send us your thoughts and opinions on these movies that we've discussed, your rankings, any movies you want to see, any movies you'd like us to review. Please shoot us a note. You can find our info on our website, which is madeformovies.com, our Instagram, which is Made for Movies Podcast. And we really hope you liked it, guys. Have a great day. See ya.